Everybody, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, generally we answer publicly posted employment questions, but not today because we have a co-host.
Hello, my name is Ariella or Ari Steinhorn, and I am a writer, storyteller, former publicist, and I work with people to bring forward their stories about power and power imbalances and just anyone who has a really interesting story to share, usually that could have an employment angle and doesn't know how to bring it forward to the media or to the public. And Vince and I have known each other for a long time.
We have indeed. You blew my mind a second ago. You're a creative, and you just said, "I'm glad it's Friday." That doesn't usually happen.
No, I think that it's just been a very manic week. And
Okay.
I feel that also maybe because it's Valentine's Day Friday and I feel like I can like cut off at a certain time to go to a Valentine's. It feels like the week has some sort of closure. I don't know. But yeah, I don't normally say that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that kind of blew my mind. I was like, because usually, I mean, you say manic. I feel like creatives have a manic existence where they create when I don't know what when the inspiration strikes. But I guess maybe for you, maybe a little less so because you.
So my thing is that I'm a nighttime person and I work like I definitely don't do my best work between the hours of say 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. And then I get some sort of creative energy inspires me usually in the late afternoon, early evening, and then I can work until like 2, 3, 4 a.m. if I'm on a roll. So that's my thing as it relates to creativity. And that's why honestly, yesterday I felt that I was coming down with like a bug. Like I was jittery, but then I was also um I felt kind of fluish because I've just been nonstop all this week. So like
Oh,
I need to like take a beat, take a rest.
interesting. Are you familiar with the campfire sitter theory of like human sleep cycles?
Is this that people took shifts when we were in tribes?
Certain humans are predisposed to certain shifts,
Um,
and like the theory is like it doesn't make sense that like because I like you, I would naturally go to sleep at about 6 a.m. Like that's just
mm.
how what I've done since like high school. Obviously not. I work now, but like you know, it's kind of an interesting theory.
I mean, it makes sense that there were people who were on call to make sure that there weren't predators
Yeah.
attacking the tribes and that you needed different people awake. So, and I honestly think so my grandmother is nocturnal, my dad's mom. And
Makes
my
sense.
so I feel and it was such an issue when I was in high school, just getting to because high school started at 7 a.m. for whatever
Oh yeah.
reason, I don't know. And I was like, I feel like I'm not okay being in my body at this hour,
Yeah.
at this time, you know? So,
In high school, I was working till about 1 a.m. and then I would get home and play video games with Korean people until
oh,
like 6 a.m. And then I would sleep for like an hour or two and go to high school. It was not, yeah. I eventually ended up going to Korea and playing video games like semi-professionally for like a hot minute, like
I
six
didn't
weeks.
know that.
But like, it was a weird game. And it wasn't popular in the US. So like it was whatever. But it was just like, that's when I was up. And like time difference wise, that was like who I associated with. So it was whatever.
We are
We have
ancestors.
stories.
Yeah, we do have stories.
We should get into it.
Um,
What which one where do you want to start?
let's start. I want to start with the meta layoffs.
Which
And the,
we forecasted
we forecast,
literally in this piece that we do together.
yes, we're clairvoyant, the
W-
two of us.
Clearly.
Um, uh, so yeah, I think that the layoffs were expected, but then did you see there was an article in Business Insider that said that a lot of high performers were getting laid off, that they actually got really positive reviews in their cycles and that they were really blindsided. And not only that, that people who had come back from their parental leaves were getting laid off. So and I think Meta has had a bad week in terms of their employer reputation, just between the lawsuit that we talked about last week, the woman who was suing for sex discrimination and sexual assault. Uh, and then this week it's just been nonstop. Like Meta's a cruel workplace, I think was a headline I saw. So I feel, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if, are you seeing any inbounds from Meta employees?
I think that I have spoken with about 45 Meta employees in the
Crazy.
past 5 days. Um, Without disclosing anyone's confidential information, I can tell you I'm seeing trends of mothers, but parents in general, fathers who took paternity leave as well, people who work from home as an accommodation, people who work from home just that was how their job worked. Um, there's some data to reflect there might be an age issue in this layoff, which normally does not happen because normally you'd balance it on purpose going in. The whole thing, I now know why they hired so many employment litigation attorneys in advance of the layoff.
Yeah.
This
Are
looks
you
premeditated.
are you taking a number of those cases? Do they have claims?
Well, I love money and I love
Yeah.
helping people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will be. And also Meta is so settlement focused. Meta cuts checks. Everybody knows it.
So you think that they've just done the calculations and they think that whatever money they have to spend on settlements for doing all of this and targeting these protected classes, it's worth just not having to pay them for a number of years?
Yeah. I think they're also trying to set a tone. I think they might think that's worth it. If you look at they brought I think his name is Dana White into the board at Meta, and
Yeah.
his perspective on business is drastically different than what you would normally see in big tech, with the exception perhaps of a Bezos company. It's really very similar to Bezos. But anyways, so there might be some of that. I also think they watched Elon at X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and they're probably thinking, hey, we got these legacy properties like Instagram and Facebook that don't innovate really anymore and can probably run with about 10% of what we use to build them. So let's get rid of a lot of people,
Mhm.
and take all the money and stuff into AI and try to compete because they're apparently losing that pretty badly right now.
Yeah. I don't really know what they've been innovating on recently. I mean, the glasses, maybe the virtual reality glasses, but I know one person who has those. Like
Yeah.
it's not like they're, creating something that's so ubiquitous that's changing things.
Somebody
Um,
was trying to pitch me the other day. So the virtual reality stuff is not going well generally, but his point was like it's not about virtual reality, it's augmented reality. And like his in his mind, he was like, you could look at somebody through a pair of glasses and like get their heart rate, get their net worth, get their like business contacts, get how you know them in your social sphere, stuff like that. And I was like, that sounds way cooler than walking around in a video game. And I love video games, but I don't want to be inside them. That looks horrific.
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I think Meta's they're not in a lot of trouble. They're just going to cut a lot of checks, and they plan to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like working parents are not going to have it good in this new this masculine work environment, you know? Because
Yeah.
if you're mirroring like Elon Musk was preaching about people having kids, but then wouldn't provide childcare for his employees. And I think that they just want the workhorse, maybe the lobotomized workhorse who doesn't really think too much about anything other than coming into work, doing what they have to do, working on whatever code they're working on, and then leaving, and not bringing much of a personality or a soul into it otherwise.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I think they're really trying to figure out like how small can we get our overhead
Yeah,
and how long do we have to maintain this big workforce before AI can do it all?
right.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be an ugly time for a lot of people over the next 4 to 5 years.
Do you think the people who are coming to you, without sharing too much about them, but do you think they'll stay in tech? Do you think they'll stay, they've been fired? Do you think they'll go look for work at another tech company?
I think so. A lot of times what happens, and I see this, is you'll get folks who get big checks and then launch a startup.
Yeah.
And the startups tend to get bought out because the startups tend to develop. There's a lot of different kinds of startups, but I had a buddy who had some kind of like predictive keyboard startup. And I, I was like, predictive keyboards already exist. And he's like, no, no, no. We have this one little thing that's different about ours. And everybody who worked for him made millions. And it was just like,
When he sold.
yeah, and also they got acqui-hired. So the startup got acquired, everybody got hired in, everybody got bonuses to join, their equity got cashed out. And I was like, why, like, congrats, but like, why did you get so much money? He was like, you're gonna see my stuff in like, we'll just pick a random company, like Samsung's keyboard in 3 years. And I was like,
Yeah.
but what is your stuff? He basically was like, you're ignorant, you wouldn't get it, but like, it's gonna make your life better. I was like, fair enough, that's accurate. Like, and I was like, okay, I guess. So I think we're gonna see a lot of that. I don't think big tech is hiring um, outside of AI right now, or
Mm,
if you want to go into like chips, I guess, which is not really a software game, right?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's interesting. I guess that is sort of the cycle of this new American dream within the tech world where it's you leave a tech company, maybe you're fired, you get a settlement, you start your own thing, you build it for a couple of years and then you sell it and then you retire or work on passion projects. And it's just
Yep.
like a recycling of like the money um, between various people. But yeah, I think I don't know. I personally would feel relieved if I got fired from Meta. But that's just me because
Yeah, I think the quality of life is pretty good.
yeah, but if you're getting a big payout, if you have a claim, you
Yeah.
get a payout and then you can take your time to figure out what you want to do. I mean, unless you really loved work. And I think there are people who like love the projects they're working on and the fact that it is Meta and it is such a name brand ubiquitous product that they're working on. Um, but yeah,
There's people who date based purely on working for a Meta or something like that. Like
that's so
that's their like, yeah,
that's
but I
how they
work for Meta, so like that's their pitch.
oh man, that'd be
Yeah.
an instant turn off for me. I
Yeah, I would imagine
think I think I'd run away. If that were their like sell like key selling point,
if it's
if they were like
their whole personality. Yeah. Listen, it
attractive.
must work because they keep doing it, right?
I'm sure. I
I
mean,
don't know.
because people like money.
Yeah. Yeah,
People like smart people, and there are smart people who work at Meta, you know?
yeah. And it's that guy thing where guys will be like, a lot of times people like give a guy a hard time, like, oh, she only wants you for your money. I'm like, or she values you for your accomplishments. How tragic for you that you're not being judged based on just your physical appearance. Like it's actually like good for you, buddy. It's fine, and I think people just have different views on that. It's
Yeah.
wild because it's always like, why would she be with him? I don't know. He wrote a deep and abiding novel that's a classic. You're like, whatever. Like, sure,
Yeah.
he looks kind of gross, but like, he's probably really sweet, and
Yeah.
he's like
Accomplished.
achieved a lot of things. So what's the problem? But I hear you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Should we move
I
on to the
think
next
the tech
story?
for me, that's the if
What was
some
that?
like it's the tech bro thing for me that gives me the ick. Like if someone is just so proud of being a software engineer at Meta, I'd be
Yeah.
like, what else is there within you?
Well, it's a strange thing because it's not like I know a lot of guys who are like, I made it into Bear Stearns. I
Mm,
made it. Like I worked for 8 years and I made it in, and now like I'm on a path. I could be a titan of industry. I could launch a hedge fund in 10 years. And like for them, that's very meaningful. I don't think any of it Meta's like, I made it into Meta. I think
yeah,
they
that's
just were like, yeah, I was on top of my class. I got a lot of offers. I chose Meta.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a little bit different in that way. And it's just like, what I it's interesting. I don't know.